their place in the modern world. Through engaging interviews with experts and members of the community, we provide a clear picture of what healthy masculinity looks like as an example for boys and girls. Our mission is to provide a voice for men, to help them navigate the challenges that they face and provide hope for a brighter future. So tune in and join the conversation on The Wrecking Trade. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of men and boys in the Cayman Islands. Welcome, one and all to The Wrecking Trade. You are listening to The Wrecking Trade right here on Praise 87.9 FM. I'm your host, Robert Lynch, and with me this evening, I have an interesting conversation with a good friend of mine. And we are going to be, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, sir?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in. I'm Andre Bailey here.
Yes, and Andre Bailey, I've noted him as he is a parent coach, he is a mental health expert, and he is also a facilitator at the Family Resource Center. What do you do at the Family Resource Center?
Well, at the Family Resource Center, I act in the capacity of a parenting practitioner, like you said, a parent coach. So really provide psychoeducation to parents, to families in general, and I also offer some level of family meetings in a mediated way.
Okay, all right. So you help families, you help parents, and tonight we're going to be talking about addiction recovery, as well as I wanted to touch on this month of December is Suicide Awareness Month.
Yes.
I wanted to touch on that a little bit because there are some little known statistics that affect us, and especially for this show, as we speak to men, we talk about masculinity, accountability, and responsibility. The suicide rates drastically, majorly affects men a lot more than the rest of the population. Yes or no?
Yes. The number says so.
I think the statistics go 3 times the effect, or 3 to 4 times the impact of women as men. All right. So walk me through. Give me an idea of the Family Resource Center. You've been focusing on addiction awareness. What have you been doing?
Okay. Well, the Family Resource Center falls under the Department of Counseling Services.
Yes.
So the overarching department is the Department of Counseling Services, and within that department we have the Family Resource Center, the Counseling Center, and the Caribbean Haven Residential Center.
Okay.
The Caribbean Haven Residential Center, as is in the name suggests, it is a home, a safe place for persons who are going through their journey of recovery. So it's where people who are having addiction and they're going through recovery, they have a place to live, and within that residential space, they are given the treatment that they need to get to full recovery.
Okay. And this space, because many times you hear about these safe spaces, we hear a lot about safe spaces for women. Are men, this space is also available for men?
I'll tell you that the uptake for Caribbean Haven Residential Center, and I'll say CHRC for short, has majority population as male.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it serves both men and women, but currently we have far more men in-house than women.
Is that a function of the addiction predominantly affecting men, or just as a result of, more men seem to subscribe?
I would say that more men experience addiction as well, in the forms that CHRC covers. So they cover all forms of drug use and alcohol. Alcohol and drugs. It depends on how you classify them. And we do have more men participating or choosing to use those substances than their female counterparts. So yes, it's reflective of the society.
Okay. All right. So now that we've had that background, let's just start from the beginning. Can you define addiction and touch on its different forms? Or, what do you call addiction? Do we just say, hey, I like ice cream, am I addicted? I like sweet stuff, am I addicted?
In the simplest of terms, addiction is where one's drive or desire for that particular thing is more than what he or she can use their self-control to monitor. So we have within us the ability to practice self-control. And the thing is, not all of us No, we have the ability,
Yes, it's
but
there.
to different degrees.
Gotcha.
So they are, because we do, and I say this because we do practice self-control in some area or another of our life.
Okay,
We do.
fair enough.
Addiction is part of that system where we are unable to practice the self-control, even if we know that whatever it is that we are addicted to is not good for us. We are unable to practice a self-control, or he or she is unable to practice a self-control to not participate in that particular thing.
Fair enough. So to kind of put that into context, then you're saying even though you're addicted to whatever substance you may be addicted to, you don't stick your hand in fire, or you're not going to run in the road and have a car hit you because you're practicing self-control in those areas.
In those
So
areas.
it's not that you've lost self-control all across the board.
Correct.
Fair enough.
Correct.
All right. So what we're saying then is, even when we're talking about addiction, we're talking about a specific stimulus that is triggering the addiction.
And different people are addicted to different things because of different reasons.
Got
Yes.
you. So there's an internal thing that says, oh, I like candy. I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to grab onto that. And that's what I'm addicted to. So I may be able to resist cigarettes. I may be able to resist alcohol, but candy is my thing.
Candy is your thing.
And so,
Yes.
so when we're talking about addiction, an addicted person is not just addicted to all substances. There's
No.
a specific thing that they're...
Or things. It could be more than one, but
Okay.
it's limited to that person and what they are addicted to.
Fair enough.
Yes.
All right. So, how do we then connect addiction to mental health disorders? How are they related? Is it something that's in my brain that's causing me to just be skewed in that regard, or is it just, hey, I just like the taste of whatever the thing I'm liking?
There are, like I said, there are different ways why people become addicted
Yes.
to something, and it could be a mental disorder that has caused someone to use a particular substance and to continue using it outside of it being functionally healthy for them. Or it could be that they were introduced to this particular substance, whether by choice or not, and that substance. And let's pivot to say that there are some things that we do consume that within themselves have those addictive properties. Yes.
Gotcha.
So when you look at crack cocaine, even marijuana, and alcohol use, built in within some of these substances is that chemical that causes what we call addiction, because it causes the user to want more of that particular thing, so they continue to use it in order to get what is missing from what they were introduced to with that particular substance.
Fair enough. And I guess just make sure I'm understanding that. So while we've talked about addiction being specific to me and being internal and something that I'm drawn to, you're saying that I may have been exposed to some product, and in that product there is something inherent that causes or brings out the addiction or makes me want more of that thing.
Yes, that is
Okay.
quite very possible.
So while we can have mental health disorders on one side, we can also have this thing that I've taken in. And I guess that's why we've been hearing a lot about the opioid epidemic in the US, where persons were prescribed particular drugs and then they become addicted to it.
Because it has within it, and which is why drugs themselves come in milligrams and different measurements. And based on studies and research, a doctor would prescribe a particular amount, so it serves the purpose of the drug itself. Maybe it's a pain reducer, but too much of that particular substance may cause the addiction.
Fair enough. So would it be safe to say then that the thing that we may call alcoholism, or the thing that we may call drug addiction, maybe persons trying to self-medicate?
Yes, that has been the case a few times, where persons have used alcohol or other substances to self-medicate. I'll tell you this, that we've also spoken about Cabin Haven Residential Center, which is a rehab center, if you will, for persons to really understand, the listeners to really understand what we're talking about. It's really a rehab center where persons are given the opportunity to detox that is to detoxify themselves and rid themselves of the substances, and be given the tools, the strategies, the education to be able to stay out of the use of those substances. So we said addiction is having a dependence on something, a substance, even when you are aware that that particular substance might cause harm to you. So sometimes, going back to the question I was asked, sometimes persons are experiencing addiction and they're facing that, struggling with addiction, because
Yes. I think we have a caller on the line. Oh, did I miss that caller? Caller, please feel free to call back. I don't know what just happened. Okay, let's see. All right. So, sorry. Go ahead.
yes.
Yes. So we're talking about. Sorry, I kind of got.
No,
lost
that's
there.
fine. I can pick up.
Yes.
So I was saying that people do use substances as a coping mechanism. And in the first instance, it may very well be just that, as a coping mechanism in the immediate term, in the immediate sense.
Yes.
What we have found, and what is normally and what is known, is that when these substances give a particular feeling, most times what we call a high, persons may want to return to that high, that feel-good place, that the substance would have allowed them to experience because of the chemicals in the particular thing. It reacts with our systems, and we might experience different things because of the substance use.
Got you.
So persons may use alcohol or other substances to cope with a situation. It could be something traumatic, it could be something like grief, it could be even nerves coming on the radio like this. They might take substances in order to calm down.
Did you take any?
No, just a glass of water.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
And taking that substance gives them the high, and they might chase after that high for a long time, trying to get back to that place of the euphoria felt because of the substances.
Okay. And I guess the same can be said about someone who's gone through an accident and they're in a lot of pain, and so now they've been prescribed these opiates to help manage the pain.
Yes.
But then the pain has gone, but they're still chasing the high that came with the drugs.
Right.
That was to help them, but now the drug itself is a problem.
Is a problem.
Gotcha. All right. So now that we've understood a little bit about what the addiction looks like, what are some of the not symptoms, but what are some of the implications of addiction? Walk me through the recovery process.
All right. The recovery process would involve, in the first instance, as best as possible, the detox that I spoke about, the detoxification that takes place, where there are these substances in the bloodstream, in the body itself, which is where the longing comes from and the yearning for that particular thing. So that whole thing, it says both physical and psychological. So let's start there.
Okay.
There's physical and psychological, because the yearning comes from a biological level because of, again, the chemicals and the subsequent feelings that we feel as part of ingesting those chemicals, those substances.
Gotcha.
Then there is the psychological aspect where one is hooked, if for want of a better term. The addiction is the hooking, where one is hooked to that particular substance, wanting it, yearning it, more of it, which is psychological. So outside of the physical, it's the mental part of it. So the detox process, the recovery process, which is different lengths for different people, you would imagine, involves both sides to it. The physical fasting from the particular thing, the particular substance, not ingesting, not taking, not using that particular substance, as well as the psychological bits where one learns how to, if cope with something else in a more healthy form, rather than using substances to cope.
Okay, so, and I guess we can bring it to alcohol. So if I've been using alcohol now to kind of numb my pain or numb how I experience the world because it's just way too much, the first step is to fast from the alcohol
That would be nice with help.
With help.
It might not be as easy as it sounds as an individual, which is why we do have a residential facility, because there are persons who need that structured environment to do it. There are persons who, because of their normative environment itself, where they live,
those may be triggers.
Those are triggers within their environment itself. Exactly. So it provides that space to be away from the substance itself.
So a big caveat that you're putting in here is that if you are struggling with addiction, there's a place for you to get help, because we understand that it may be difficult to go through this process alone.
Yes,
Okay.
100%. And support. As a matter of fact, this year we have been pushing a lot of messaging around support. Supporting those in recovery, because it is a journey.
Yes.
It's not a destination per se. There's no place called recovery where you go there and it's
Addiction
done.
is done.
Yes,
Fair
it
enough.
really is a journey. And with support, it becomes a little easier for persons who are experiencing or going through that journey.
Got you. All right. So we're looking at the journey. There's a place that you can go to get help for the journey, find allies, so to speak, who will help you, because we understand that, hey, this journey is a challenging one, and if you're trying to take it on alone, it may be just
a little bit more difficult to do it by yourself.
Difficult.
Yes.
Fair enough. So, but what we're doing tonight is to kind of give person appreciation of what that journey may look like. But we're saying, get help. Don't try to do it on your own.
It's best. The advice is seek help.
Seek help.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're walking through the idea. Someone is working through alcohol. The first step would be to fasting, and in the facility, that's what they do. And so that's why they talk about the 21 days, or they give you a prescribed amount of time.
Yes.
Part of that time is not just you being away; it's the fasting from the substance itself.
Yes.
And I heard you say something interesting in that it's also fasting potentially from the direct triggers.
Correct.
So walk me through that process, because I guess we're kind of straddling both the physical, the fasting from the substance, and the psychological, the triggers that we're talking about in our environment.
Yes. So persons are environmentally, they might be living in a home or a place where they have access to a drug. And when we're talking about an addiction, remember we started by saying that you do not have the wherewithal to practice self-control in that moment in relation to this drug, even if you know that it's harmful to you. So what happens is that if a person is within close proximity to a particular substance that they are weak to, then being in that space does not necessarily help the recovery process because of the access. And the easy access and the temptation that comes with having the drug that you're addicted to will make the recovery journey a little bit longer, a little bit more bumpy on the road.
So it's safe to say if you're struggling with alcohol addiction, working in a bar may not be the best environment.
Might not be the best environment for you, absolutely.
And if you're struggling with, say, marijuana addiction, if everyone around you in your yard, in your home, is smoking marijuana, that may not be the best.
Might not be.
place for you.
That does not look like support.
That does not look like support.
Right.
And so that's why getting you out of that environment, area in Haven, that's a place where you can actually live, sleep, and eat.
And eat. So you're being in a safe, clean space where you are allowed to express exactly what you're feeling, and those around you also understand that you are going through this journey and they're there to support you.
All right, so we have the fasting from the substance, we have the fasting from the environment,
As
we
best
have the
as possible.
support. What else are we looking at?
And then what next thing that we're looking at is the tools, the skills
Yes.
to help get to the place of being off the substance and staying there.
Okay.
So
Before you jump, because I'm going to need you to unpack that one, because
Yes.
I mean, persons, I'd imagine persons have gotten to their addiction honestly, and by that I mean they've spent years trying to cope, miscoping, and being there. So now in 21 days, how do they learn the life skills?
No.
What is going to happen?
No, the 21 days. No, 21 days is not. It's not the learning that takes place in 21 days. Behavior change takes a little bit longer than that, especially when you're looking at addiction.
And I say that because sometimes persons go, okay, fine, we've sent you to rehab, you spent some time in rehab, and so now you should be healed.
Yes.
and that might be the expectation when someone returns. But we want to just put that caveat in there. The behavior change takes a little bit
A
longer.
little bit longer than.
So,
But like you said,
yes.
they've spent years getting honestly this addiction.
Yes.
Because it doesn't happen in a day.
There we go.
So it would be almost unfair to believe that one day will fix
Okay.
what you have spent years to do and to build
Gotcha.
and to concretize.
So walk me through what they be get the learning that they be getting in the environment, and then we can walk through how that may look when they leave.
All right. So in that environment, they're learning tools to deal with whatever it is that they might be using the substances to cover or to mask.
Gotcha.
If it is that they are coping, so if you mention all the woes of life, the stresses of life, feeling overwhelmed, feeling too much, using alcohol or using other forms, other drugs, as a temporary relief from that stress and what's happening around you has been a go-to for many persons. But once you're down from the high, the stress and all the problems in life still exist. Yes? So the cycle continues. It becomes cyclical. Because the more life stress continues, and the more you use the substance, life stress continues even more. And it can worsen. As a matter of fact, we have seen that because of substance and alcohol use and misuse, person's position have worsened in life. Again, the addiction might cause you to now start doing other things that destroys relationships. So a person who is on crack cocaine and they need a hit, they need the fix, they might sell their parents' heirloom to get money, or sell their parents, right, to get money, and that those kind of things destroy. They might steal.
Yes.
They might rob. They might do other things, immoral things, in order to get money to buy the substance that they're craving. Yes, that in of itself might destroy relationships.
Gotcha.
So outside of the stresses of life that exists, it might even worsen. The point I'm making is that the position might worsen because of the addiction.
So here's what I'm thinking, and I mean this may be devil's advocate or whatever the situation is, but based on what you just said, the addiction, which may have started off on a self-medication or medically prescribed medication, now there's a chase for the high that comes with it.
Yes.
And this now leads to societal problems. Would the problem be solved if persons would just go someplace and get drugs? Because I think in California or they have places where persons can get clean needles and
clean needles
like
and
that.
so, right.
Does that work? Does that make sense?
There are two schools of thought on it.
Okay.
And there are those who support it 100% because they say it gives that clean space for persons to use clean needles and a place that they know they can go with professionals who are administering these drugs.
Yes.
And there's also the other side of that says that you're enabling the behavior. And as opposed to creating these safe, quote unquote, safe sites for persons to use drugs, they should be getting the help that they need to not need the drugs any at all.
Which brings us squarely then to the life skills or the skills development, because I guess all of this would have come from them not necessarily having the skills to cope
in a healthy way.
In a healthy way, and then
Yes.
using the substances to numb the coping. So
As replacement.
as a replacement.
Yeah.
For the coping.
As a coping mechanism. That's
Yes.
what it's called. It's called a coping mechanism. So within the recovery process, persons going through recovery ought to learn those skills. Other coping mechanisms that are healthier and still are able to address at the same time all life stresses.
Okay.
So if you after work, they had a long day at work and they just want to go to the bar to get a drink, and that leads to 2 and 3 and 4 spending their paycheck in one night because they're now drinking the substance and drinking the pain away. Finding other methods to deal with the stress itself, or you handling that stress while you're dealing with it. Learning to to recognize that your emotions are tied to your feelings, and that if you have control over your emotions, then you might not feel a particular way, and subsequently your actions will be different. So the thought processes surrounding what is happening, causing you to feel a particular way, and then acting a particular way because of this. Accepting that this is what is happening now, and that things change over time, and making deliberate and intentional positive actions towards bettering the position. Having the support, having that person who, when you are going through a difficult time, you can call upon your 3 a.m. friend. Your 3 a.m. friend is that friend who you could call at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? To say, hey, I'm having a really hard time. Can you support me here and now? Not that you're going to be calling people at 3 o'clock, but having that person who you could call at 3 o'clock.
Because as I said that I was going to go, why not? I mean, why don't you have more 3 a.m. friends?
3 a.m. friends.
And even as you're talking, so I mean, on this show we talk about masculinity, accountability, and responsibility, and we talk about learning these skills, having these conversations so we can develop awareness, so persons can develop more of the skills necessary to manage through life.
Yes.
I imagine we're having this conversation here, and I imagine that's part of what you do in the awareness part of the Family Resource Center.
Well, I mean, not necessarily, not directly in the Family Resource Center, but
like
it's a
you mentioned,
department.
parent
So we all, oh, you mean the responsibility?
Yes.
Yes. Awareness is one of the big things that we do, because it is useful for all aspects of life.
Yes.
When you're looking at parenting, being aware of your own behavior should, and it helps with the movement or the actions towards starting to practice self-control.
Yes.
Okay?
And a zero around to a program that I know that you guys have at the Family Resource Center, which is the SNAP program, which is geared towards helping kids
Yes.
to actually work through this process, how to cope with life stresses, and how to, I think it goes, not make their problems bigger.
Yes.
Right? But as you're talking, and I'm thinking about addiction, I'm thinking about all these other things, and this may be, I guess, a bigger question than just the two of us, but it looks at why are these things not necessarily a part of the mainstream?
They are in their own way. Our culture promotes it. It's just not packaged in the same way.
Okay.
And we have seen, again, bigger than both of us, we have seen the degradation of society overall because of conflicting values and value sets that people hold. So we do have these things being presented to us from within the home. Your parents will tell you a thing before you speak, right? And that is genuinely saying that you should process your thoughts before you say something or do something.
Fair enough. I mean, and
Which
that
is
was
the
nice.
same
So,
thing.
like, your parents told you to think before you speak.
Of course!
but there are a lot of young people, there are a lot of people, not just young people, who may have grown up with their parents just talking whatever's on their minds, or, you know, we've heard the stories about their parents who go to school and beat up teacher,
Yes.
and cuss up all the things.
That
And
is
so,
true, but even in school itself, because we're talking about the bigger system,
Yes.
which the education system is a part of that.
Yes.
That would have been something that is part of the education system too.
Okay.
To have manners, it really and truly mean that you should respect others.
Okay.
In doing that, then you are learning some of these life skills. Because if I'm respecting you, it means that I'm respecting all parts of you.
Okay.
So I'm not putting my hands or my feet on you. I'm not beating you. I'm not fighting you. I'm not engaging in warfare with you, physical warfare, because I respect you.
Fair
And respect does not look like box and kick and punches.
Fair
Yes?
enough. Fair enough. And I like what you're saying, because you're speaking about accountability, and you're not letting anyone off the hook.
No,
You're saying-
because we have all been exposed to it. People simply choose. It goes back to our choices. All of this go
Okay.
back to our choices, the choices that we do make. And the truth is that God gave us free will. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't
Manage it well.
manage that free will well. Thank you for putting it like that. I appreciate that. So we do learn these things, and people just need help.
Okay.
And that's the fact of the matter, is that some people that don't make good choices, and they might very well need help in making some of those choices. And when we're looking at a program like this one, the Wrecking Trade,
Yes.
it is meant to allow people to understand that we can be our brother's keeper, and we still should be. And if it is that I'm saying, and we all know that there is degradation in society in terms of morals and values that are passing around and they're decreasing, it means that we need more of this to be pushing the message of support for one another, being our brother's keeper. Because if I have a male friend who is experiencing something, as opposed to turning to a substance to help to cope with that thing, I could be a listening ear, I could be a sounding board for him, and he has the opportunity to come and to share exactly what is happening. And even in that sharing, he gets some sort of relief. So it's no longer the urge to go and find something to help get my mind off this, to clear my mind, just to numb out, might not be there anymore because you spoke about it.
Fair. And I guess that speaks to the value or the role that having a strong support network plays, not just in recovery, but also in managing even before you get to addiction, or even through addiction.
Even through addiction, or even before you get there, exactly.
And
so
this support network can include not just your direct household,
no,
but also the communities that you're part of, and the communities that you may choose to be a part of.
yes,
Okay.
as well as professionals in whatever area that you might need the support in.
All right. So you've talked about Caribbean Haven. What are some support networks, support systems out there? Because I mean, maybe like I talked about earlier, maybe everyone in your household, your yard is smoking weed, so that's not necessarily the best place for you. Where can I go to get help?
All right, there are phone lines that you could call to get help. There's a mental health helpline through the Health Services Authority that you can call that helpline to get assistance if you're going through anything at all and you want just to talk to somebody. It's free to you, it's toll free. You can call that helpline and speak with someone there. There's always a crisis person. Bad word, but there's always a crisis person who is available and online 24/7 to help you through, even in the immediate term, what you might be experiencing. I know in the community there are what are called halfway houses as well, where persons who are on that journey of recovery can get a space in these halfway houses. And what it does is it still takes you outside of the immediate environment that might be a trigger for you, and it gives you again another safe space where you can be there to get on your feet. And then once you are able to be back on your feet and you move out, it's as a halfway between being a complete addict, being a complete addict, and being further ahead in your journey to recovery. Gotcha. So it's giving you a space that you can sleep, a roof over your head, a home, a meal, and then you have the opportunity to get your life in order, to get back on your feet, and then you're able to go back on your own.
Fair enough. And I appreciate you saying that, and even as you mentioned crisis, you kind of try to pull the word back, because we understand that there's a stigma associated with these.
So.
How do we navigate around it? You mentioned mental health. I'm gonna call the helpline and tell them that I'm feeling crazy or whatnot, and usually there's a negative stigma associated. One, making yourself feel vulnerable like that, and then putting it out there that you can't manage your stuff.
I mean, it is difficult, and you can imagine how difficult it is for persons to do that. I tell you, it takes a lot of courage, a lot of bravery to know that you need the help, and then to actively go and to seek that help and to say, hey, I am having a hard time with this, can you help me? But it's very powerful too. You spoke about vulnerability, and that is one of those things that it really is hard for men especially to be vulnerable. Again, going back to the society where men are supposed to be strong and almost emotionless. Men are supposed to not burden anyone with their problems, so you're supposed to hold it like a G kind of situation.
Yes, what's wrong with that?
I know, right? But the truth is that men are people too.
Okay.
And men have emotions, and men do have hard times, and men struggle with things. And
So you heard it here first on the Wrecking Trade. Men are people too.
men are people too, and so it is hard. But if I should tap into that masculinity thing, then if that is hard, then do the hard thing and seek help, because you're supposed to be tough as a man. So make the tough decision to seek help if you need it. Family and friends, also we call upon family and friends to support those in recovery. Understand that each person has their own struggle. That might not be yours. That might not be your struggle, and you might struggle with something else. This is the struggle of that particular person, and they might need that support from you. So letting them know that you are there to support them, ending the stigma, and the negative association with substance use and going through recovery, and allowing people who are experiencing addiction to know that there is support available for them.
Appreciate you saying that. And the numbers to call 945-9029 if you have a story, if you have a struggle, if you are in a situation where you may need help and you want to ask Andrea a question or want to share something, feel free to call the number. Again, the number is 945-9029. So we've looked at the stigma, we've looked at the association, we've looked at the struggles that persons go through. But let's step back a little bit. How do we help persons to navigate away from the struggle altogether? We talked about the resource, the skills that they can learn, the things that they can do to help them cope. What's a one thing that you might see? Someone is on the verge of, they're about to walk into the bar, they're about to go buy this spliff or get the thing. What's something that you can say? And even on the other side, because we talk about getting that support, what's something that someone else can say to them? Because I may feel helpless. I don't know how to help someone. How do I, one, ask for help? What should I ask for? What should I look for? And B, how do I provide help? What should I ask for? What should I be looking for?
Okay, that's a very good question. It might be controversial, the response, because it is and it can be very difficult for persons to not do something, and the term that is common is cold turkey. So it might be very, very, very difficult for someone to just stop taking marijuana or stop using crack cocaine just like that in an instant. Yes, there are several stories of persons who have, and they have not done it anymore, especially something like marijuana, which is less addictive, if you will. It comes with a lesser case of withdrawal than cocaine. Yes, than heroin. It's a little bit easier to get over than heroin. So it's possible in that regard. And I said the answer might be controversial because healing is not linear. So it's not always one line and you automatically go and you do it and that's good and never to return. Some people do take a few steps back and then they take some more steps forward and then they take a step back and then two more steps forward and then a step back and two more. So this is why you have something called relapse, yes, where people do fall back into the addictive behaviors, the use of the substances.
Before you move on, just stick up and hold your thought. I just wanted to just double underline what you said for both parties. So what I'm hearing you saying, correct me if I'm wrong here, that means someone who's struggling, they're about to walk into the drug place, or you have a family member who's strung out on drugs and you're looking at them. One thing may start with compassion, understanding if you're struggling, the struggle is normal.
Yes.
It's going to be hard to not walk into that place and do it, and the other person who's looking at you go, oh, there's a real struggle going on. It's not that they're just willfully walking in to hurt me.
To hurt you, exactly.
So those two persons, they can look at each other now with a little bit more compassion going, there's a real struggle going on there.
It is a real struggle. It's a battle, yeah?
Okay.
I like the word struggle. It's a real struggle that's happening. Which is going back to what we said earlier about those safe spaces in the United States and other countries who do have those safe spaces, because it's from the understanding that while people are addicted, it's better to provide for them a safe space where they can use these substances and lessen any other effects like overdose or transmission of diseases and so on, while they go through that recovery process.
What we're focusing on here is the psychological support that someone can, I mean, without going into the debate of, hey, give them drugs or not give them drugs, just understand that, hey, you who are struggling, it's a struggle.
It is a struggle.
Your family member who are looking on the person who's addicted, they're having a struggle, so a little bit of empathy goes a long way
in helping them. That's what support looks like.
Okay.
So again, going back to your question, that might look like providing a incremental space for them to use and to get over the substances as well. I know within the church space, that is the controversy. Within the church, yes.
Sounds like you might buy them some liquor or buy them but less.
But all right, if you said somebody's about to walk in the bar and they're really having a hard time, and you are trying to help them not to go into the bar. That's the example.
Yes.
And there's like, no, this is too hard, I have to go. And you're saying, no, there is another way, I'm here to support you 100%. This person is now adamant that they are going in the bar, and you cannot just stop them unless you're going to physically constrain them.
Okay.
Do you at that point give up and walk away? Or do you see to it that they only have one drink? Or two max? Okay. I'm asking. I mean, I'm rhetorically asking.
It's a real question.
It's a real question.
Again, and that's the positioning. Hey, you're trying to help someone. They're stuck. They're going through something hard, and you're telling them all the things that, or you're sharing, or you're trying to be there, but they are stuck at the place where they need this drink, this hit, this dose
in this moment. And
what do you do?
The thing is, just like parenting, let's take it to regular relationships, parenting or anything else. When people are not in a calm state, it's hard for the prefrontal cortex of your brain to think logically. It's very hard. What you have to do is to use that psychoeducation when a person is in a calmer state. Because in the heightened emotional state that he or she is in, reasoning is illogical.
Fair. And it's interesting that you said it's controversial, because it's not, even though it may be controversial in this context, it's not foreign.
It's not
because
foreign.
Essentially what we're describing is a moment of crisis.
Yes.
And if you're in a medical crisis, medical professionals are going to prescribe, or they're going to do interventions that are geared or designed to help you out of crisis, and then deal with whatever information or whatever else needs to be sorted.
Yes.
And so here, helping someone out of the crisis seems to be a tricky one, because the crisis that they're having is, I need this thing.
Yes, right.
It may need a little bit more pulling back the layers to go, okay, fine, what do you need this thing for? But we may not be able to get to that, what do you need this thing for, because they're in crisis and they can't think. They can't
logically process what you're saying right now. So you have the best intentions, and you are thinking logically, you're like, no, you shouldn't do this.
Yes.
But that's not where they are. And if where I'm going to be helping you, I need to meet you where you are and then provide assistance for you.
And that's an interesting dynamic, because that's the struggle for many persons. Okay, we're trying to help this person, but we're trying to tell them, talk to them, share with them, and it seems it's falling on deaf ears. And I guess wrongly or rightly so, the reaction may be start to think about taking this. You may start to take this personally.
Take it personally.
They're resisting me. They're disrespecting me.
And you start feeling disrespected, and you pull back and leave them in a worse position. I consider that a worse position. That's one less person caring.
That is a worse of support.
Yes, that's a worse position. As opposed to recognizing that they are experiencing this, and your approach must be from a place of empathy.
All right. So let's pause the addicted person for just a second, then, and just use this opportunity to talk to the persons who are trying to help, because, like I said, when this happens, this is the challenge. The person who's trying to help feeling disheartened and giving up, and then now the addicted person losing that support. What would you say to that person? How do you help them to stay in the game?
The one who gave up?
Well, not
the one who's trying to help.
Yes,
trying to help.
Trying to help.
I would say this is good that you're listening now. So getting information is always useful. So learning how to help is important as well. Learning how to support is important. Because I can say, yes, I'm supporting you, but I don't know how, which means I might be causing more harm than good. You think about first aid, for example. Somebody is genuinely in danger or, need first aid and you're trying to help them, but you make the condition worse. So learning how to help is a very good first step, especially if you have a family member or a loved one or a friend who is experiencing any form of addiction or mental health concern. Learning what that person is experiencing and learning how to help that particular situation is a very, very, very good first step in helping them. And then it's important that that person takes care of themselves as well. There is something called compassion fatigue, and people can get burnout trying to help others.
Yes.
So it's very important that me trying to help you, that I am replenishing myself.
Gotcha.
Because when I'm at my very best, then I'm able to give you more. But if I'm already depleted and I have burnout or compassion fatigue, then helping you comes a little bit more difficult for me, because I'm giving you, it seems like there is nothing coming from your side. Is almost as though your efforts are in vain, and that is disheartening on the person who's trying to help.
Okay. So, and this is really interesting, because you have persons who are sitting here, they're listening, they've been trying to help and they've given up, and all of these things are happening, and after a while you may see them out there and you feel a way, but then you may try to toughen up with and put it back on them to go, hey, you had, like you said at the beginning, everyone had a chance to learn, everyone learned, man, as you made this choice.
Yes.
And so now we are cementing our positions. You're an addict, I'm good and awesome and wonderful, and so never the twain shall meet.
Yes.
But here we're finding a place where we can bring those persons together, mend those relationships. Let's start with the person who's trying to help. Are there resources? Are there places where that person can go to, like you said, learn how to help?
Yes, again, the Department of Counseling Services here in Cayman offers that site of psychoeducation.
Okay.
So you can check the website. You don't necessarily have to come into office. dcs.gov.ky is
DCS.
the Department of Counseling Services, DCS.
Okay.
.gov.ky. Go to our website, look for Caribbean Haven. So you'll see all three agencies on the website, and there are resources there to help. And YouTube University exists. Shameless plug for YouTube, right? We're all familiar with it.
YouTube. Check us out on YouTube.
Yeah, Google.
Yes.
Google it, YouTube. These things are available, as opposed to doom scrolling and watching rubbish
TikToks
videos.
of cats
Yes.
jumping over foolishness.
Yes. Find it. It is there. The information is there. I mean, one good thing about the internet is that you can find it. You can find it there somewhere.
Yes.
Find a reputable source, and information is available for that. If you need information, visit the Department of Counseling Services. We do have resources. HSA, if you're on island, HSA also has a unit that deals with this, so you can get information from the HSA as well to help you to learn to be a better helper. And where you can't, get the assistance of professionals. So with all your best intentions, one of your positive actions could be, hey, let me connect you with who can.
Gotcha.
Because I might not have the skills, I might not have the abilities, I might not have the time to help you, but I can pick up my phone and make a call and connect you to that person, and that is me helping a long way.
All right. Incredible. This has been an awesome conversation, Andre, and we've talked about being able to help persons who are struggling, and even being able to help those who are trying to help the people who are struggling, because that's a struggle in and of itself.
In and of itself.
Any parting words? Any guidance? Any support?
Like you mentioned at the top of the program, this month is mental health awareness.
Yes.
So within your own environment, check on the people around you. Check on your strong friends. I saw that somewhere one time, and I saw that is so true. Check on your strong friends, the people who you suppose are strong and they have it all together, and they are good about themselves. Check on them as well. I mean, you do have those ones that off the bat are experiencing difficulties in whatever aspects of their life, and they might need support. Support them as best as you can. But do not ignore those who seemingly are doing well. Because people might be functioning, but not necessarily wholesome functioning or thriving. I like that word. Gotcha. So check on your strong friends, and take care of yourself. If you know that you're a natural helper, if the love of Jesus motivates you to help others, then one of the things that you should be doing is taking care of yourself as well. When you are in a better place, then you are in a better place to help. But if you neglect your own self-care and giving 100% to others, then you will be depleted and you will not be in that place to help. So while you're helping others, make sure that you're also taking care of your self-care to help you to do better.
Awesome. And again, if you want to plug the numbers for the Family Resource Center, or persons can
sure, call us at 949-0006. That's 949-0006, or send an email frc@gov.ky. And you ask any question, visit our website. There's a form there. You can contact us through the website as well, and we're happy to help.
Incredible. Thank you very much. This has been an incredible conversation, and just being able to go through it has helped me. So I hope the listeners have been blessed.
Yes.
We thank you for coming, Andre.
Yes, no problem.
And this,
thank you for having me.
Awesome. This has been The Wrecking Trade. I'm Robert Lynch, and right here what we have conversations about, what we look at is how we help each other to grow, to increase, to develop our accountability and our responsibility so that we can be better members of society. Until next time, peace.
Welcome to The Wrecking Trade, the radio show that provides a platform for a deeper understanding of issues affecting men in the Cayman Islands. Join us as we explore the low enrollment of men and boys in college classrooms, the absence of men in the church, and the absence of fathers in the home. Join the conversation as we help men find their place in the modern world. Through engaging interviews with experts and members of the community, we provide a clear picture of what healthy masculinity looks like